Welcome to Passive Aggressive Income. This program may contain strong language. The content may not be suitable for audiences under the age of 17. We understand many of our listeners may not agree with all of our personal viewpoints. We in no way, shape, or form mean to be offensive to anyone. Our show notes will provide all of our source material included for each episode. Now let's get passive aggressive. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Passive Aggressive Income. So today's episode is going to be amazing because we have an all-star entrepreneur. She is a rising tattoo artist and a badass vehicle mechanic. She is tough as nails with extraordinary talent. Let's welcome Anitha Kongkeo.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. I feel so honored.
Thank you so
Thanks
much
for
for
coming on.
taking the time to be here. We're always excited to have fellow kindred spirits, busy entrepreneur women on the podcast, and excited to learn more about who you are and how you've got here.
Yeah, we love giving women that are in positions of, creativity and entrepreneurship a platform to talk about it. So if you are ready, I'm ready to dive in.
Yeah, I'm ready when you guys are.
So, Anitha, you are a current tattoo artist at Supreme Tattoo Society, which is located downtown Appleton in Wisconsin, for those of you that don't know. Can you tell us how you got onto this path, and have you always known you were artistically creative in this way?
So growing up, I definitely was very creative. I draw and doodle a lot and stuff like that. Really like painting growing up too. So the opportunity came up when I was switching from going from a car mechanic to welding, and I was currently getting tattooed there a lot. So I would ask a lot of questions about apprenticeships and how it worked, and it just happened to work into my schedule. So I went part-time there for a little bit until everything was super comfortable for me, and then I just went full-fledged on, honestly.
That's
Awesome.
great.
What would you say your tattoo style is? Are you more of like an all-encompass type of artist?
So I don't have a specific style yet, just because I think, even though I have been in the industry for 3 years now, I still think I'm growing as an artist. So I think I'm still going to go through phases of where I like something else more than the other. Right now, it's more Japanese style with some pops of colors, my favorite.
Awesome.
Otherwise, I do a lot of everything right now, and I absolutely love it.
This is just a personal question from me, but how do you feel about American traditional? Because a lot of people have like pretty like negative or positive feelings towards it, and I just want to know what you think about it.
I think that I think it's still like a timeless tattoo. I consider
Mhm.
them just because they've been around for so long. I personally do like the bold lines and the big colors. I definitely think that they should be done like a certain way, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
just like shading wise and stuff like that. And I think like placement goes a lot for them because a lot of people put them in like patchwork sleeves and stuff like that. So you just gotta have a finesse to them, but I do like them. I don't have any negative feelings
good answer.
Good answer. Yeah, I find it really interesting that you said, as an artist sort of starting out in this way, you don't really have a specific style yet, because I've felt that way myself getting into photography. And now I don't know, 5 years into being a photographer. And for the longest time, it was a lot of like playing around with editing styles and taking pictures of like different subjects and figuring out what exactly I liked doing. And I think
Mhm.
that process as a creative is just like so important into building who like you as an artist in the future. Um, and just like I don't know, you don't know what your style is going to be until you play around with everything. And that also
Absolutely.
makes you a more dynamic artist as well. So I
Mhm.
think that's really fun to hear because I relate to that a lot.
Yes. It definitely takes, I don't think that, starting out in anything that there's like a one thing that you should specialize in. I think you should try everything else out before.
Yeah, and growing along the way is what, you grow as an artist, your style changes, and either way, people can still kind of like recognize your art, even if it's not the
Yes.
same every time.
Yes.
Right. And speaking of growing in a sea of tattoo artists, how have you gotten your name out there? How did you grow your clientele?
So I really just try to market myself on my existing social media. I know a lot of like artists tend to make like separate pages and stuff like that. I just felt like, oh, I already had a following, so I might as well just market it on there.
Yeah, that's
A
smart.
lot of it was word of mouth, definitely beforehand. A lot of friends and family. Yeah. And
Okay.
then got to give credit to my boss, Kanai, as well. Like,
Yeah.
just him being a great teacher, like that was able to bring me different clientele that was willing to let me, start on them and stuff like that. And I'm super appreciative of that.
Yeah, that's really
Right.
cool. So, on top of tattooing, you also work on cars on the side in a garage that you run with a few other people. How do you manage both of these passions on such a busy schedule?
So it's definitely a struggle sometimes. Definitely haven't cracked the code or anything. But I definitely like the days that are longer at the tattoo shop. I won't go, and I'll just kind of take the day to relax and answer to my clients. Otherwise, maybe 2 to 3 times a week, we'll go for like a few hours and try to get some side work stuff done. Um, yeah, I mean, everything takes sacrifice, and like you only have so much time like in a day. So um but what really pushes me to just put those extra hours in to even spend at the shop is like where I want to be in the future. So I feel like sacrificing some of that time now is definitely okay with me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think that's like part of being an entrepreneur is you have to
Yes.
make sacrifices.
We've talked about that so many times, and I love hearing that from other people that are on that grind life with us, because a lot of people don't realize that if you want to get to a certain place in your life, you have to make sacrifices in order to do that. And I love hearing other people putting in that work and knowing that they have to put in that work and, be the time manager and being that your own cheerleader and doing all of the things that other people have like a team of, and you just being that for yourself is really important.
I love that. I love how you just said that you have to be your own cheerleader because you do. You really
Yeah.
do.
So that kind of brings me to the next question, but managing all of these things and, being your own cheerleader, being your own boss, managing your clients, what are some of the things you do to stay organized?
So it's going to sound super dorky, but I always have to handwrite everything in like a physical calendar.
Yeah.
I do sometimes put it into my phone and stuff to keep organized, but I have this fear that like my calendar is going to accidentally wipe out or something. So I love writing it down. And that helps me like mentally check it off as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just making sure you're on top of your paperwork and stuff is super important. Make sure you have like filing system or something like that. Like I have like binders that I put all my paperwork in and just, I mean, I don't do anything too much digitally just because I have a weird fear of things like turning off and stuff. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, basically
Well,
just hard writing everything down and making sure you have everything like neatly like organized for the way.
I I can totally relate to that because I keep three calendars that have like the same thing. Two I keep electronically and one I keep with my like handwritten. So I totally relate to that because I look at different screens and then I look at like my specific calendar every day, but then some days I'm not by my screens or whatever the case may be. So I think it's really important that you have calendars that you're seeing every single day available to you so that you don't forget that you have to do certain things on specific
Yeah.
days.
And it's also, I think, I don't know if I learned it when I was in school my first time around, but writing things down helps you remember them better. And that's why I would always
Mm,
like handwrite my notes for exams and things like that versus
yeah,
Yes.
just like typing them into a computer.
right. So I know that you and I have talked about this before, but can you tell us about your ongoing car restoration projects for all of those car nerds out there?
So we've actually been working on my fiance's car for a few years now. We just had it in the machine shop recently, and it's done. So we just have to get her back and get her running. We bagged the car and boosted it last year, and it blew up. So that's why I was at the machine shop. But hopefully you guys can get to see in this next coming year here, like all the finished stuff. I can't let all the juicy details out on that one, but I also have my own project car right now, and it's a Mark II Golf, which is a 1986. It's super old, so I gutted everything out last year. Looking to swap an 07K engine in there, which is just a 2.5, but hopefully we'll boost that down the road, and I want it to be done in the next 2 years here so that we can have it for our wedding pictures. So hopefully you guys will get to see it super soon.
How long have you been working on the Golf?
So on mine, I've had it for at least 2.5, almost 3 years now. Around that time, it was when I was starting out my tattoo career as well. So I was putting a lot of my focus into that, making sure that I could be stable enough with that before I did anything with my car stuff. And so now it's crunch time. It's time to get her done.
And I ask that because a lot of people get excited about, restoring a vehicle or buying one that needs a lot of work. So just being realistic about how long it's going to take, I think, is important to let people know of.
For sure. Yes. Like starting out anything, like I honestly, when I first got it, I was like, yes, I want to get it done, like this, and this. But realistically, like, stuff happens in life and you got to put it to the side until you can, achieve that goal. But, I never lost my goal or anything. Just had to put it to the side for a second.
I relate to that so hard. Restoring my house because I was like in 1 year, I bought it in December of 2021, and I was like, yeah, in 1 year I'm gonna be ready for another property. It's been 2 years and there's so much work to do still. So keeping the realistic schedule with how much work you have to do is definitely eye-opening.
Yes.
So what advice do you have for people who are stuck in a 9-to-5 job and they don't have passion for their work and maybe want to look at some creative outlooks that they have and turn those into a career?
So I definitely think change is scary for a lot of people. My biggest advice is, if you are passionate enough about it, is to take that leap. Of course, be smart about it and save some money so that you can have, some backup stuff in case stuff happens and doesn't go through or whatever. But I think people are more afraid of failing. And if you don't fail, you don't know what works for you or not. So I think people should just take the leap. Change is scary, but the scariest changes for me that have been in my life has only brought me even better. Whether that's, financially or mentally, like, just do it,
Yeah, I totally relate to that. Just, leaving a job that I got my degree for, and only being there for like 3 months, and just saying to myself, well, shit, I really don't like this, and I don't like who I'm working for, and I go home every day and I'm, like mentally drained, and I don't want to, I wasn't me by the end of the day, and basically just saying, I quit, I'm done, I'm gonna go do something that I didn't go to school for. Change, that change for me is what got me into being a well-rounded real estate investor. I met so many people, I made so many connections, and I feel like if you hold on to a door so long, it gets really scary on the outside, but you get 1,000 doors from that one door, and it's really hard to see it from that perspective once you're in that moment. But the world is full of possibilities, so really being open to it is healthier, in my opinion, than being scared to do anything.
Most definitely.
As someone who has been in the same like situation where I went to school for something and I ended up completely switching gears. This is something that we've talked about on the podcast a few times, but I personally don't think that people are meant to do one thing for the rest of their life. And picking your passions and trying to make money from them and turning those things into a career And, trying new things is just a part of what makes life interesting. So I think that it's really cool that you've been able to find a way to do that and make money from it and, be
Yeah.
successful.
Thank you. Thank you.
What do you see for your future as far as being a tattoo artist and a car mechanic slash enthusiast? What are your plans for that?
So I definitely in the future want to have my own tattoo shop, and as well as just expanding the car shop. I mean,
Hmm.
we do a lot of mechanical work, stuff like that, but I'd like to brush up on some more welding and maybe do some fab stuff in the future. I think that's what our goal is, and yeah, just honing the craft in all aspects.
I love that.
That's awesome. So, as a woman entrepreneur who makes her own schedule, and also as a woman entrepreneur who is in spaces who are typically male dominated,
Ooh,
yes.
yes.
What advice do you have to the fellow ladies out there wanting to start down their own path or start their own passion project, but don't think they can, especially if it's in a space that's, not really open to many women?
I love this question.
Oh, I love this. So it's such a it's so hard to just nail it down to one thing. I feel like I said before, change is definitely scary, especially for women that are going into male dominated fields.
Mm,
I think that, you should trust in yourself and don't worry about what anybody else is doing. Make sure that, like at the end of the day, you know what you're doing. And if you're passionate enough for it, persevere until you can get to that goal. I mean, don't be afraid to have like a bad day. You know
mm,
what I mean? Like it's
yeah.
okay to have those days because not all of it's going to be super like rainbows and butterflies. Like definitely know that there's going to be some hard times, but at the end of the day, you got to look at the bigger picture. Like, hey, this is where I want to be. This is what I'm going to do to get there. And
Mm.
I think women should just believe in themselves a little bit more. I don't think we give ourselves enough credit that, we can be just as hardworking and that we can just be as talented as other people. And you just got to push yourself. I mean, there's a lot of sacrifice, but in the end, I feel like it's worth it.
Beautifully said. I love that. I feel like every woman and every person would need to hear that, just to have that self-confidence and self-love and changing that inner monologue of telling yourself, I can't do this, I'm scared to do that, and just being more positive and reinforcing that with positivity and changing it ultimately to be a more positive narrative that you tell yourself every day is super important. That's something I'm struggling with and I'm changing myself. So, telling everybody that is also telling myself that too.
Yeah, I feel yeah. I mean, some days I still got to remind myself, like, hey, this is our goal, and we got to get there. And um, like another thing is, you have to like surround yourself with people that are also creative or that
Mm,
maybe are in the same mindset and like just networking and you know just getting
yeah.
out there.
I think that's totally huge to consider for your own life is having like-minded people and people that will only push you to be the better version of yourself. I know Lexi and I have talked about this in prior episodes on making your tribe and your circle people that you aspire to be. And if you're like the dumbest person in your circle, then you're doing shit right. Because I mean, if you are only learning and learning every single day, and your tribe and your group is, aspiring to be more, then that will inspire you to be more. So I totally love that you said that.
Yeah, and even with this podcast, it's something that I've told my husband Alex about is if I was doing this podcast on my own, I don't think that I would be as consistent. But the fact that I have Mims with me and like we have each other to make sure we're staying honest and doing it every
Mm,
single week, having someone who's like-minded and is passionate about the same things that I am pushes me to want to do better.
And I
yes,
love
girl.
that. I love what you guys do. It's so like refreshing to hear like a podcast where somebody's giving real advice, like no, not sugarcoating anything. Like I love it.
Yeah, we
Oh,
keep it real and honest on this podcast. I mean, it's part of who we are is being authentic, and we want to share that with everyone else. So I appreciate you recognizing that, and we'll continue doing it.
yeah. Well, we love you, Anitha, and I want to end this episode by thanking you for your time. We know that you are such a busy boss lady, and your time is super valuable. Secondly, I would also want to mention to everybody to check out Anitha's socials on Instagram and on Facebook to see her amazing tattoo art. I can totally vouch for her as both a tattoo artist, as she has done the majority of mine. She did basically my entire back, and she was very patient with me because that bitch hurt, and she was just, giving me breaks and everything. And she executed it so great that I love seeing my back now. And she is a reputable car genius. She has worked on my car, and I'm still alive and well and driving a car. So highly recommend her in those two aspects. And we will have all of her socials in the show notes as well.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time, Anitha. It was awesome talking with you.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, we love you, girl. Bye.
Love you
All
guys
right,
too.
bye.
Bye.
Passive Aggressive Income was written, recorded, edited, and produced by co-hosts and creators Mims and Lexi. We truly want to thank our listeners, collaborators, friends, and family that continuously support us for all the love we receive. If you enjoy our show, please give us a glowing rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Also, follow us on Facebook and Instagram to see what we are up to. For any inquiries, please email passiveaggressiveincome2023@gmail.com. Episodes of Passive Aggressive Income are available wherever you listen to podcasts, so make sure to subscribe and like us on your favorite streaming platform.